bring me a mic. Oh, it is on. There we are. Okay, well, this session is a veritable gallop through questions around virtual, augmented reality, as well as the metaverse. And we are going to definitively answer the question how we can be happy in the metaverse. But I want to introduce two very special guests to you. We have here, just on my right, Sam Engelhardt. He's the co-founder of Galaxy Digital and the general partner of Galaxy Interactive. And we also have Peggy Johnson, who is the CEO of Magic Leap. So, first of all, Sam, tell me briefly about what Galaxy Interactive is and what the metaverse to you means.
Okay, so Galaxy Interactive, it's a venture fund franchise. We focus on investing in businesses at the intersection of content, infrastructure technology, and social commerce. But really what we've been doing is investing against this idea of like, what's interesting if you believe the way that I do, that we are in the process of a migration to, as a species, really spending the majority of our conscious time inside of immersive digital worlds. So we were, in a lot of ways, we were metaverse investors before it became so fashionable to talk about the metaverse,
right,
as it has the last couple of years. To me, and this is a part of the process of having this conversation, you always need to, I think, first just define this term, because everybody has a different idea in mind. I think the way that I've been really describing the metaverse for the last few years, and some credit to my friend Matt Ball, who just put out a book on this topic that everybody should read, but what I mean when we talk about the metaverse is a massively scaled network of interoperable and persistent 3D virtual worlds that can be inhabited by effectively an infinite number of people. So there's a lot to unpack there, and I'm sure we're going to come back to that in minutes 7 and 8 of the 10-minute talk.
Exactly. But Peggy, why don't you give us your view? Tell us where Magic Leap is at the moment, because you've got a new device coming out in less than 2 weeks. And describe AR and VR to you, what it means.
Okay, so we make a augmented reality headset, and when you put it on, you still see your physical world, but we put content, digital content, in your physical world, in your field of view. But I think today, if you Google the metaverse, what comes up is virtual reality, and that is when you put a device on and you enter into another world. You're fully occluded, and you don't see your physical world. That's largely an immobile type of experience, oftentimes used for entertainment. But I think if we limit it just to that, the true value of the metaverse would be completely missed, and that is when we can be back to a heads-up display of the world, and we are looking around in our physical world, and the content just lives intelligently in that world.
So give us some examples of how people are already using your device, for example, within medicine, within training. What else?
Well, there's an interesting example. There's a company called CentiR, and they were scanning live hearts and then putting them on a 2D screen, a PC, for doctors to insert a catheter into the heart real time. You're kind of making your mind work, because your mind is trying to take that 2D flat image and understand what the heart looks like. Well, with augmented reality, you can put the heart in the middle of this room. You can see exactly where the probe is going, the live scanned heart during surgery. And it just makes it more accurate. The navigation is better for the patient. And so that's the type of use case we're seeing that has this highly immersive, highly accurate placement of digital content. How
do you see the metaverse being useful potentially for surgeons, or for training and education? Give me paint some pictures for me.
Well, I think, first of all, in some ways, the concept of metaverse, as I understand it, using a VR or AR device or interacting with in an immersive digital world or digital objects in that way doesn't necessarily require the metaverse, or doesn't require this hyperscaled network of environments, of 3D rendered environments to do that. The VR and AR can be a tool that allows you to get that much deeper into a particular thing or look at it from different angles. It's where the metaverse piece of it becomes interesting is more in the collaboration, and to the extent that part of what you're building in order to build out the metaverse in this big grand way that I described it, you're building a lot of tools that allows for very precise zero latency type of interactivity with other people, and presumably located anywhere around the world and at scale. So I think that's where if you start to imagine education that requires large groups of people that are in different places, the sort of simulation training and things that you would ordinarily need to spend a lot of money and consume a lot of resources, physical resources, to bring people together to do things, that's a type of education that I think we're going to be able to do in these virtual worlds in a much more efficient way.
I just want to spend a moment on how we're going to move within the metaverse, because one of the things that I learned from talking to you is that it's actually, we don't necessarily need to put on the glasses to enter the metaverse, but we're going to be able to do it through a device like this, but it's just going to be a different experience. Is that right?
Yeah, I think not included in this definition of metaverse is the type of device or screen that you're using to access it. So really what we're talking about are these interconnected digital worlds that become so powerful, and this idea really is what we think of as the sort of fourth era of computing. If we started with mainframe computing and then the home computer and the internet and then the mobile computer and cloud, what we're talking about now is this sort of always-on persistent networked group of virtual worlds. We're going to experience them through whichever device we happen to have handy at any particular time.
Right.
So we're increasingly all connected 24/7 globally via our mobile phones, and that's more than sufficient. I think what we don't need to imagine here is a Ready Player One Oasis-like experience, although we're heading in that direction, but it's going to be a long time. Far sooner than that will be people wearing, headsets like Magic Leap, where we are in our physical world and we have layers of digital objects and technology and data available to us all of the time. And that's what we're going to be pulling from these connected virtual worlds.
Now, it's one thing to think about folks who have lots of money to be able to spend on devices, on headsets, but I know, Peggy, you also work with frontline workers and in manufacturing, and actually changing the sense of that job. So tell us about that.
Yeah, when you think about frontline workers, oftentimes they don't have a PC on a desk somewhere like a knowledge worker does. But for the first time, we're able to put a PC on their eyes. Their hands are still free to do their job. And for instance, they might have been trained on bringing a machine that's gone offline back online, but it was a year and a half ago. Now the machine's broken, it's in front of them. They can walk up to it, see a digital twin of the machine, and be talked through the maintenance and repair of that machine. And if they get stuck, someone who doesn't have a headset, could be a continent away, an expert, can see what they see because there's cameras on these devices. And that expert can annotate, they can talk them through a fix and getting something back online. We have a company in the Midwest, PBC Linear, and they've shortened the time of resolution to factory floor problems from 2 hours to 40 minutes because of this. So you can just really be much more efficient. You don't have to go back to the books that you had in a classroom.
Right, interesting. We are running out of time, unfortunately, but I wonder if we address this question of how to be happy in the metaverse, in a world where we've all come here today with at least one device. We are distracted all the time. There's pings, there's things that drag us down that are so interesting, that keep us from enjoying this very panel. How is the metaverse going to make us happy?
I mean, I was thinking about that on the way over here, and I spend most of my time and energy investing in video games, and really in terms of the content that's going to populate this metaverse, or that it will consist of, is going to be largely for now games. And I think the easy answer is to say, well, everybody's going to be playing games, and they're going to be having a lot of fun, and they're going to be happy. I think one theme that's come up a bunch in this conference today is, what's actually on most people's mind and keeping them up at night around the world, and it's really the obvious, right? Financial security, job security, these types of things. And I think one of the most interesting things to imagine as this metaverse scales and is built is the opportunity for everybody at the individual level to really earn a living in some pretty new and important ways. If anything like the metaverse and what we're talking about here is going to exist, it's going to require distributed resources. We're going to all ultimately need to contribute in some way to the compute power necessary to power the storage necessary, the creative energy necessary to create the amount of content that we're talking about. I mean, this is such a massive scaled, enormous virtual world that's being built, and everybody's going to have an opportunity to participate and earn a living in order to make this a reality. And I think that's probably the most exciting thing as we imagine this new era of computing.
So the element of inclusion is very real.
Yeah, and remuneration and yeah.
Right. So if we think about the idea of making us more happy, Peggy, through the augmented reality, through wearing the device, how is it going to make me more happy if I've just got more things coming at me with the device I'm wearing? I don't even have to look down to get it.
Well, first of all, it's going to be a heads-up view of the world again. We're going to enter our physical world again. We're going to be part of that. We won't have our head down on a little screen on our lap. And that content can be more comfortably placed in our environment or erased if you just want to go into quiet mode. So I think it's going to bring us all back into our physical world again.
All right. I wish we had another 20 minutes or even 2 hours to spend on this topic, but can I get a huge round of applause and thanks for Peggy and Sam? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.